This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out of Me.
Welcome, everyone. If you haven't already, go to all of our socials. We have a job for you.
Yes.
Our job is to watch these movies.
A little homework assignment.
Even though today's job was a pleasure, actually, not a pain in the ass to watch, which was great. But we have a job for you guys. Go to your web zones, your social medias. Sorry, I have a really squeaky microphone arm. My bad.
Your podcasting
everywhere
platforms.
you get podcasts, even YouTube. Go like, comment, go like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out the podcast. We love the engagement. We love you guys. So go ahead and show your love for us if you do. Just all that good stuff. Just had to get that out of the way. Thanks again for all the engagement. Thanks for all the guys that are in the DMs, all the emails we get,
The requests,
the theme song, all that good stuff.
Yes.
We really appreciate you guys. We want to keep this going. A little love goes a long way. Mm-hmm. So that's all I have to say. Oh boy. Is there any more housekeeping? Or is that the business?
I think that's the business.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the business.
So, Avenging Force. Holy shit.
So, you said to me a little while ago, you're like, do we have any action movies coming up?
Okay.
Because we watched like 10 horror movies in a row.
After a while, after so many horror movies,
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, can we just switch it up a little bit?
So we
now we get two action movies back to back.
Of course, our first one was Ninja Terminator.
Yeah, which was a collage of a quote unquote
collage.
Movie.
Yeah,
it was like
that's a way to.
It was like the ultimate action movie collage.
Yeah, collage of phone calls.
What is that? What it's called when it's like a bunch of different pictures that make one picture?
Yeah.
Is that a collage?
Sure.
Or do they?
I think a collage is like a slideshow with mosaic. Yeah.
It's like a mosaic. So it's like a mosaic of that director's action.
Godfrey Ho.
Godfrey Ho. So yeah, it was a mosaic of his
Which is
movies.
Funny because the director of this movie also likes ninjas.
Yes.
Because he made a movie that we watched on this podcast.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Ninja.
And we liked it.
We did like it, and it was filmed right here.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that he also did
right here, as in Salt Lake City, because that's where we are located.
He also did the American Ninja movies, which we do enjoy.
I actually really, really love American Ninja 2.
2 is also my favorite.
2 is like the best one to
me.
me. I like both of them, and it has the same actor, that Michael Dudikoff.
2 of them.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, it's both.
So
two of
it's
them.
kind of funny. So Avenging Force has Michael Dudikoff and Steve James,
yes,
who were both in American Ninja 1. And then when that movie happened, the producers were like, hey, these two have a fun chemistry on screen. And they both know fighting shit. So when they did American Ninja 2, they are both like front and center.
Well, so there's 5 American Ninjas?
There's so many I lose count. They went bananas.
I've only seen 3 of them. So
I've also, because I remember. So what I remember,
I'll be honest, I haven't watched the entire franchise. So
what I remember from when I was I still am a goop brain, but when I watched them, as I remember, the first 2 had these 2 in them. And then the third one had a new actor.
Yes.
And I did not care because I was just like...
Well, also, James Booth stars in this movie.
Yes. He was in Pray for Death.
He's in Pray for Death. He's also in multiple American Ninja movies.
So he wrote the second one. So this is a whole...
But he also stars in the 4... It's all these American Ninja. So there's just a lot of
canon.
Connection.
So Canon Films made those, and then they also made this.
Yes.
And it's just a whole family affair, I guess. Because I remember I wanted to watch this movie like years ago when I watched American Ninja, and I could not find this movie.
Now, the director of this also directed the first American Ninja.
The first, he directed
two,
one and two, yeah.
Yeah, two, sorry. So 1 and 2, yeah. So Sam Furstenberg.
If you want some fun times, he directed a movie called, I mean, it's become a meme at this point, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. So you know where that meme comes from of like naming something to Electric Boogaloo? Well, that's a real movie.
That's where it comes from. Our boy.
And that is a very fun movie.
I don't know.
It's our dude.
I think this dude just is tapped into like dumb, fun action movies.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what Avenging Force is. That's exactly what you get with this movie. Is a dumb, fun... God damn, it's squeaky as fuck.
You need some WD-40.
Sorry. Yeah, apparently. It's just every time a movie is like...
It adds to the vibe.
So I apologize if it's squeaky as hell during this. There's nothing I can do because I accidentally keep like hitting it.
How dare you?
But Avenging Force is a very dumb, fun movie. I
Yes.
wouldn't say it's like intelligent, but with an action movie, do you really need that? Do you really need to think?
It just has to work
I know it's cliche to say
structurally.
I know it's cliche to say like turn your brain off, right? But like you don't have to turn your brain off for this. It all makes sense. It's just dumb and fun.
It's just simple. It's not too dumb.
No, it's not too dumb because
Like our last movie was.
well, and
dumb.
the unfortunate thing, and you know, it's not. This is not the podcast for this, but we'll have to get a tiny little bit political, just because the villain in this, they're all like white nationalist, like Nazi, KKK, neo-Nazi like shit. So, you know, they're supposed to be the bad guy, but it's pretty poignant and
They're very
it's very
despicable.
on the nose with some of the political climate
with some
today.
things, yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna have to get a little tiny. Just spare us. We're just gonna have to get a little tiny bit political for just a minute when we're explaining that aspect. But
You know what's funny though? Would anyone have cared when this movie originally came out?
no, and that's
what's weird.
That's
right?
the weird thing is I have to explain it now.
Yeah, but it's
With
just funny
this
to think about.
podcast
Right?
came out like in '86. I wouldn't have to explain.
No one would
this shit.
care. I don't think anyone would care.
I wouldn't have to be like, oh, we have to get political. No one would give a shit.
It's just it's a B movie.
Like they're bad guys. They're neo Nazis. Of course, they hate like everyone except for themselves. But
Well,
it's
it's also
like,
funny because they also set them up that they're like they pretend to be.
but there are certain people,
legitimate businessmen.
There are certain people in today's climate that have this mindset, and that kind of scares me.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's what's funny is they keep saying like, oh, they call us, they call us racist.
what's
and
weird
they
is
call us this.
I've heard the same arguments from real life people.
Real people, yeah.
So it's like that's where it gets a little weird. The lines get a little blurry with reality nowadays.
Why is it, Will, that a B action movie from 1986 is just so apparently relevant, endlessly relevant?
Well, we'll
It's
get
just
into
funny
it,
to think
but
about,
but short answer is we live in a hellscape. That's
We
why.
do. I agree.
So, but again, we're not a political podcast. It's not what we're talking about. We just have to we just have to address it.
Well, for me, we are going to address the common sense
Yes.
portion of this, which is that these people are in the movie the bad guys.
Well, right. I just kind of want to explain that we're not going to drone on about
Yes.
it, right? Like it is a plot point. It is kind of relevant. That's pretty much what the point we're making. So don't think that we're going to go like make the entire episode about that. It's all about the movie review.
Yes.
So let's get into it. Avenging Force. So it starts out with two dudes in the woods getting hunted by other people.
A bunch of guys dressed like Mortal Kombat or G.I. Joe characters.
Well, and what's weird is they all have different... I kind of like how they all have different costumes, right? So you can tell exactly who is who and like what weapon they use, and like it gives us all an idea of like how fucked up they are.
Well, plus it just
So like
it adds flavor.
One guy has like a white mask and he uses samurai swords. Another guy is like full like tactical gear and uses a giant shotgun. One guy has this really gaudy like Victorian mask.
I was gonna say it almost looks like something out of like Eyes Wide Shut, and he uses like a
and he likes to like it's like a piano wire almost.
A
where he
garret
chokes
or whatever.
people.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy that has like a leather harness and has like a BDSM mask.
Yes.
And
a giant knife.
And a giant knife, but he also has a crossbow.
Yes.
So we get an idea of like who the villains are and that they're hunting
scene,
people.
That guy also has a giant like a hook thing. Do you remember? Because he stabs the dude.
Oh right,
Yeah.
It's never seen again. But he has like a spear that has like a
it retracts,
like jaws on it.
Yeah.
And so we just get an idea that they hunt people for sport and for fun, and they're really fucked up and really sadistic about it.
Yeah, they kill these two guys, and then they, one of them's like,
but we also
another great hunt for the pentangle.
We also get an idea that they like to hunt like capable like
yes
enemies, because we do get an action scene in the beginning where the guy can handle himself a little bit, but he's injured. So obviously the guy gets a one up on him. So they like hunting like dangerous prey. They don't like just like hunting just anyone.
What's it called? It's basically a take on The Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. I mean, that's kind of what they're going for, right?
They're hunting like it's sport, so it's supposed to be someone who can defend themselves.
So we kind of forget about that for just a minute because we just got to show our villains and how fucked up they are.
Well, it introduces.
And now we introduce our main villains.
And then after that, they say another great hunt for the pentangle.
Yeah. And so then we get our main dude. He's living it up on a fucking ranch.
Lives on a ranch with his sister and his grandpa.
And you kind of get an idea that something happened to their parents, because obviously it's just the grandpa, the brother, and the sister on the ranch. And they're planning a trip down to New Orleans.
He wants to visit a friend.
He wants to visit a friend who's running to be a senator.
He's running for Senate.
So they're going to drive down. So he comes and picks up his sister, and they drive down in his giant GMC truck.
Which comes into play.
Yep. So they drive down to New Orleans. Everything's fine, right?
And they have dinner.
Well, they have dinner. It kind of sets up this the friend that's running for Senate. So he's a guy. He has like a nice house. He has a wife and 2 kids, a really really young toddler, and then like an 8 or 9-year-old son as well. So
and everything's fine, but the wife mentions that he's been getting threats.
Right. Some people aren't happy that he's running for Senate,
and he basically says I'm black. It's the South.
He's like,
it's nothing new.
Yeah, I'm black. It's the 80s or now, and
it's nothing new. Like whatever.
New. It's fine. I'm still running for Senate.
Crank calls.
He's like saying like, I'm not gonna let it get me down. Yeah. I'm still going for it
because I believe in helping.
Yeah.
The people and poverty, and they have a Mardi Gras coming.
Yeah, so they're gonna do a float with him in it, and I mean it's pretty legit Mardi Gras. I think did they film an actual? I mean,
if they didn't, it
looks legit.
Because that's the thing is, so I remember, like Red Letter Media talked about this movie, and even they said like, yeah, it's a B movie and all, but like you still get like a scene filmed in the French Quarter in New Orleans with like crowds and floats. So
what I think is crazy is they filmed a lot in the bayou in this movie.
We'll get to that, but yeah, it's like in the real swamps. Yeah.
But these guys are actually like tussling in the swamp. Like they're like risking life and limb for this fucking movie.
It's not filmed on a back lot.
And for real. Let me just tell you, it looks fucking great.
Yeah, because
it looks awesome. It's all on location.
It's your actors getting down and dirty. I just have to get this
out of the way. It looks so good when you do on location shit. It looks so much better than a green screen.
Fake stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, again,
They have their Mardi Gras.
not that podcast, but yeah, they have the Mardi Gras. And then so while they're all waving, so it's the senator guy and his friend, and they're all on a float. And so we see these two women, and the tense music starts to play.
With,
so you know something's going on.
Baby carriages.
So they're really weird. So they're all in like unison, and they back up the baby carriage directly in front of one of the float that's coming by.
And then these two guys.
It's three guys.
Yeah, and they get in front, and they have like
they have real instruments, but they're fake playing it. Like,
they're not actually playing. They're like
the
watching.
instruments.
They're watching the float.
So our dude Michael, who what's his name in this? It's Matt
Hunter. Yeah.
Matt Hunter. Which also, funny enough, Matt Hunter was in
Invasion USA.
It's a different.
It's also a canon movie.
Yes, it's a different actor, but it's the same character.
Same character. They just said fuck it.
So yeah, a little lore for you because he's been on the podcast
because it's yeah,
because it's canon. See what I did there?
You didn't notice it, but your brain did.
So yeah, they're all make instruments, and so our dude Matt, he notices, right?
He notices
and
something's
so he gets off the float and starts like going towards them because he thinks something's up, obviously, because they're acting super fucking weird. And so he gets closer and closer, and as the floats get closer and closer, the two women pick up the babies out of the baby carriages at the same time. Mm-hmm. And you know what's going on, right?
100%.
So like,
you know,
like there's something in the baby carriage. That's why they pick the baby out of the baby carriage.
That's why they start playing the sinister music.
So they all of a sudden stop playing their instruments as the float gets right to the corner.
And they put their instruments down in the carriage.
Yes, and then they pick up a panel, and there's a bunch
guns,
of guns,
yeah.
like Uzis and pistols. And so they pull everything out, but as they pull that out, Matt warns the senator guy. What's his name? And I can't remember his name. Maybe I'll have to look it up.
Yeah. But he basically tells them like, hey, like there's
Larry.
Danger, 10 o'clock. And so they get everyone out of the way as much as they can.
Yeah, so Larry doesn't get hit, but you see his son is like goes limp.
His son gets hit.
So like he gets out of the way, and then Matt starts handling them.
Well, they shoot like
innocent bystanders all over the place.
Yeah.
They're just firing into this open crowd, and people are dying left and right.
There's
blood
cops
everywhere.
getting shot. My God.
Like these guys just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They came for one person, but they're gonna.
There's
kill
also
as
a
many
guy
people.
the whole time. He's wearing like a carnival hat, and he's like signaling to them the whole time, like when they should shoot, basically.
Right, like he's like their like superior.
Yes.
And so they're shooting into this open crowd, and then Matt like kind of like gets the upper hand on one of them, kills him, shoots another guy on
Matt
like a
and
bike.
Larry starts fighting.
Yeah.
They start fighting them.
They start fighting him. They kill like pretty much all of them, except for the
one
hat guy.
Yeah.
So Matt chases after,
jumps on like the roofs and
so he climbs up the building. They have like a little roof like chase,
but then he gets away.
and he gets
In
away.
the crowd.
Yeah, because Matt tries to chase him down this like apartment building, and he gets away. But he's working for the bad guys, obviously.
And you see, ambulance shows up, and their kid is dead.
Yep.
So 25 minutes into the movie, you already get a kid death.
Yeah, well, it's not going to stop there, unfortunately.
No, and you see the guy go to like a payphone, make a phone call, and then we get a scene of the bad guys.
Well, so they're like doing a kendo tournament, and it says like
America for Americans.
Yeah, America for Americans, and they all introduce each other, right? And they're all like proud of each other. So the two dudes doing the kendo are part of the organization. They're the two dudes we saw at the beginning.
There's a big crowd, and they're all involved.
And they're all introducing each other, and then we get our main baddie. He's this old fuck. I don't even care what the fuck his name is, but
Elliot Glastonbury.
For some fucking reason, well, he's a neo-Nazi, so I guess it makes sense. he just like starts going off for no reason.
Well, he basically says like, you know,
Well,
all the usual.
He gets introduced and immediately goes into this rant about how immigrants are bad. America needs
There's
to be
Mexicans
America
invading the
again.
border.
Mexicans are invading the border. Listen, again, we're not that podcast. This is just what is in the movie. So he.
This is the bad guy.
Well, of course,
He's a neo-Nazi.
He's a neo-Nazi.
Take from that what you will.
He's trying to indoctrinate all these people.
Well, they're already in the fucking.
I mean,
they're sipping the Kool-Aid.
Well, what I mean is he's trying to like rile them
But he's
up.
telling them like
He's
we have to.
He's riling them up, and he's saying we have to,
destabilize the country.
yeah, like we need total anarchy, and we need to like go against everything, including like CIA, like they're
The
like
government,
they're anti-government,
black people,
anti-CIA,
like, politicians,
anti-everything, yeah. So they want to like crumble the entire foundation from the top.
But they're all like, they pretend to be legitimate like businessmen
Right. So and they have like their fingers in everything.
because they have a lot of money and all.
Well,
this
because we
crap.
get another scene, and I'm not sure exactly when it fits in here, but Matt goes to talk to like CIA, his superiors.
He was a former like agent,
But he retired because he wanted to take care of his sister.
because
After his parents died, because his parents got bombed.
a bomb that was meant for him
Yes.
killed them. So.
And so he's like, I'm going into retirement. I'm taking care of my sister.
But yeah, there's a scene where he goes to these guys and talks to them and asks them like, "What is the pentangle?" And they tell him,
Well, they say like basically they're in like every.
it's a secret society. There's five heads.
Well, they're like ultra rich, ultra controlling. Like they own pretty much everything, and they like will use like an incredible amount of resources to get what they want.
That they have legitimate
Yeah.
businesses, but they also have their fingers in all of like the
And
crime and
they also basically say that they like pretend to be like these well-to-do
Yes.
businessmen, but they're really corrupt and like evil.
because in that scene where they introduce all of them in the kendo tournament, like, you know, they say like, "Oh, he owns this corporation and
Yeah.
he owns this."
But I mean, they
Timely.
use the N word constantly. They like put down every person that's not white.
I mean,
as much as
you knew.
possible.
You knew when they show the crowd.
I knew.
Well, first
Yeah.
they have the America for Americans poster, and then they just show this crowd of like 50 dudes,
It's
and
all
it's all white dudes.
fucking white people.
And as soon as they introduce that,
they're
you're
all,
like, "Oh, I get it.
like,
I see what
like
they are."
I immediately connected the dots. I was like, okay, all right, I get what we're dealing with here. So Matt kind of goes to talk to to Jerry, right?
Larry.
Sorry. Fuck, I'm forgetting names for some reason. To
Well, there's
Larry.
that quick scene where they go and visit his house.
Well, they go back to his house and there's like swastikas painted all over
yeah,
it.
like,
and like
N-word, get out of New Orleans, and all this
and
shit.
They're like, okay, like shit's going down.
Yeah.
We need to get to my farm so we can be safe there. We're not going to tell anyone we're going. That's key there. We're not going to tell anyone we're going there.
Other than like the people they've assigned to protect them.
Right. Well, so they tell like the CIA member basically because like they want protection, obviously. Yeah. So they're all getting into like a helicopter, and Matt's like,
They get a phone call.
Yeah. So it's like some guy pretending to be a reporter and saying that he wants a story.
Can we get your take on like all the violence you've been facing?
Well, and Matt tries to be like, hey, he's not available, like he's not going to do it. But then Larry takes the call and he's like,
tell him I'm here.
He's like, I'm here. I'll do the interview. And
he's like, it's a trap, right? He's like, yeah, I know.
He's like, yeah, I know, Matt, but they killed my son.
Like,
they killed my fucking son. Like, what do you expect me to do?
And he's like, this is my fight. And he's like, listen,
when Matt's
it's not
like,
just
I'm not going to let you do this alone. So
you're not dealing with these assholes on your own.
So they go to the family and they tell them, hey, go to the farm. We're not going to be there because we're going to go take care of business.
So they go to this location, and
it's like a back alley,
and of
just
course
some
they get
random alley, and of course they get barricaded by a school bus and a garbage truck.
And 2 cars with goons.
And they all get out and start firing at his truck.
And he blasts through,
he drives away, and they go into like a shipping yard.
Yeah. They end up in a shipping yard after this car chase, and they climb up to this like
an abandoned ship.
This like abandoned ship.
Like an abandoned like tanker ship.
Yeah.
Like like the freight ships.
And they handle everyone. They handle all the dudes except for the one guy.
Now here's the one difference from the last movie we watched, other than it's a movie.
I was gonna say this is like an actual movie.
I know, but
with
what I'm trying to say is like,
filmmaking.
this is how you do action scenes, though.
Well, see, coherence is a big thing.
This is how you do action scenes, okay?
Coherence.
As much as I like Jaguar Juan, I like Matt and Larry more.
Well, it's just like, because, not just on the podcast, but we've both seen this director's movies, and it's like, we know that he knows how to film fucking action and how to make it fucking coherent. And like,
because as they're dispatching people, they're like tricking them and like kicking them off like giant barges.
Yeah, you see people fall like in one shot, like all the way off the ship into the water. There's them swinging.
Well, and they have like stunts where they'll fall off this thing, and you hear like a bunch of crashing, like they like, and they even show a guy like mangled
legs and shit
on like the shipping floor. And they finally get to the last guy. And
plus, you see them plus another thing is like, you see the actors like actually climbing all over this ship, and
because it's on location.
It's on location, but it's like them for real. It's not.
And because both of the actors did their own, a lot of their own stunts. I think very few stunts were done by actors for them, which stunt work. Can we just? This is this podcast. Stunt work is
it's
so
inevitable.
Underappreciated. I like. Oh my god! Like stunt work is such an incredible thing, and I think it should be in like every action movie. I love it. Stunt work is amazing. Stop CGIing and start using more stunt work.
There's a certain like grit and I don't know, real feeling.
I'm sorry, stunt actors have to have a lot of balls for a lot of the shit they do. They fall off like huge buildings. They get crashed through fucking windows. It's fake glass, but still, they get thrown around everywhere. Like
it's like they're not actually getting punched, but it's like still when you're falling down on like, they're fighting on a ship. They're falling down on like hard steel floors and like
I shouldn't have to tell anyone this. Stunt work is incredible, and I think stunt actors should be appreciated more.
Listen, half of the podcast is action movies. We have to appreciate.
I just had to put that in because I very much appreciate stunt actors and stunt work, and keep doing your thing because it's amazing. It's incredible. I appreciate every single person that does stunt work.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get back to the movie. Sorry, a little rant there. So Larry is looking after Matt, and Matt's about to get he's about to get one-upped by a guy with a shotgun, and Larry fires at him, and then he fires at Larry, and Larry gets hit in the arm.
Gets hit in the arm.
And so our guy kicks the guy off.
Well, he gets on like a fucking. He zip lines. Yeah, he zip lines down like a rope and kicks the guy off the ship. He zip lines
with his belt, and then goes to Larry. They take care of the last guy, and then they fire up in the air to scare the guy with the Mardi Gras guy with the hat.
Tell your bosses to leave Larry alone.
Yeah,
tell him to leave him alone. And so he fucking goes back to his bosses.
Well, and he's not in trouble yet, right?
Yes.
You can tell they're very upset that this guy keeps failing because he failed at the Mardi Gras parade and he failed this time.
We get that scene of them at a shooting range.
Well, so we also remember we've kind of forgot, but I can't remember where it fits in, but after the Mardi Gras parade, we get them reprimanding him and saying that he needs to try again.
Yeah, because he's
to
like,
kill, because they're like, hey, like
you lost like four good men. What gives?
Like, these were our best guys. What gives? Why are you failing?
And then he's like, well,
I'll give you one more shot, basically.
And he basically tells them like it's this guy, and they're like,
so yeah,
like,
it's just a scene where they know of Matt now. Matt
they have
and
a picture
Larry
of him and everything.
So they know who he is, and they're trying to look into him and see why he has such incredible skill at dispatching them. So anyway, they're at a shooting range now, and they're all menacingly like shooting at these fucking targets.
And they know that like who he is.
Well, yeah. So yeah, this is the whole scene just setting up. Basically, they know who he is. They know where to find him. They have a mole. Is basically what they're saying because
they know
they get intel.
They know exactly where they're hiding.
Yeah, they know exactly. And Matt and Larry did not tell anyone. So obviously they have a mole.
Yeah.
And then they kill the guy that keeps failing because
now you've lost like 10 of our best men.
He like begs for his life. They shoot him in the stomach and just watch him die slowly.
Just leave him bleeding.
Yeah. As he's like begging for help. Like, these are bad dudes.
After they throw a bunch of racial slurs around.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like they're all Matt and Larry at the house. They're all getting ready to sleep. And like, you know, he has like...
So yeah, they're at the ranch.
Matt looks like he looks at a photo and it's like, it looks like it's them in the military, but it's him and Larry. So he kind of like...
You also get a photo of his parents.
Yeah.
With the grandpa, because the grandpa's still alive. But it's his parents and the two siblings.
But I like that it's just kind of like, it tells you that, you know, they have a past together, but they don't really need to...
Right, they were in the war.
They don't really need to tell it to you.
There's no
like
flashback or anything like that.
You just know
that they're tight.
They've been through some shit.
Yeah. So they all get ready for bed. They all like are going to sleep, and of course the guys know exactly where they are, so they form a hunting party.
They show up.
So they show up full camo gear and like baklavas. The
balaclavas.
Balaclavas. Yeah. Sorry. Not
Baklava's a dessert.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
they show up with baklavas at their door.
I apparently had too much beer. I'm sorry. Yeah, they show up with a dessert all over their face. They forgot to wipe it off.
Would you care for some baklava, sir?
They forgot to wipe it off, okay?
And then the movie ends and we all live happily ever after.
They got crumbs and they're like... Jesus Christ. Cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. We don't cut anything out.
There's no editing. How dare you?
This is all off the cuff.
This is raw.
Unfiltered.
Raw meat.
Uncaged. Okay, so anyway, they go up to the house and they start taking care of all the CIA guards.
They
shoot
shoot one of them in the throat.
Well, yeah, he grabs like it's getting cold outside, so he grabs some soup and he's eating his soup and he gets shot in the fucking throat.
And then they take a fucking grenade launcher.
Dude, this scene is so fucking brutal. Like,
well, it's like you're watching it and you're thinking like, okay, people are gonna die, sure.
Yeah, well, and like you're like, okay, people have to die because there has to be some avenging going on.
And then
right?
Little do you know, they launch a grenade and it blows up.
Well, so before we set up they're all playing poker inside, right?
The grandpa
and
and
so
like 3 CIA goons.
When they launch the grenade, all these fucking these dummies just get barbecued immediately.
Basically the whole bottom floor of this house
is set ablaze.
And then they throw like Molotovs in the top floor. And so...
I mean, so immediately Matt gets up, he takes his sister, and then he wakes up Larry and the wife, and they're going to go out of the door. And Larry...
But Larry's kid...
Well, Larry's like, I got to go back for him. I'm not going to leave him in there.
So Matt like takes everyone and like kind of sits them outside.
When as Larry's turning around, he gets shot in the back and an arrow in the back.
With an arrow and a gun.
And this fucking hero still goes into a burning house to save his child.
And then Matt's like, this is bad. So he goes too.
Well, because I don't think they knew he was shot and like arrowed in the back.
No, he didn't.
And so Larry goes up to the attic and grabs his infant son, well, his toddler son, and is carrying him down and hands him to Matt and is like, "Don't let my son die." And then he just fucking
he dies.
collapses and dies.
And so
It is kind of incredible too, because as Matt's going up this staircase, it like completely
collapses as it-
And I was like, "Damn, that was a cool effect." They
well,
really-
plus it's like, I mean, he's walking through this whole house that's
on fire.
fucking ablaze and shit. But, you know, now the stairs are gone.
So he goes up to the attic, he breaks out the window, and he's like crawling out of the window with this child. And they go over to the trough,
Yes.
and they take the girl, they take his sister,
And the wife's like screaming, and they're like, shut her up.
yeah, shut the bitch up, and they like shoot her. And then they, well, like it's off screen, but you
know that they kill her, yeah.
And there's like no emotion. They just fire at her.
Because they mentioned earlier,
Well, they're gonna initiate Matt into the game
because they think he'd be a great.
right, because they're
sport.
impressed with his
Yeah.
skills, so they want to hunt him.
So they, you know, he gets on the roof with the toddler, and they're like, they have, you know, his sister, and they're like, you know, hey, we're sorry we have to meet under these circumstances, but you know, we think you'd be.
Well, they're so like nonchalant
think
about
he'd
it,
be
like
great
they
for
didn't
this.
just massacre his entire fucking.
And then he tells one of them, like, okay, bring him down alive.
when they shoot an arrow into his knee, and
Tumbles down the fucking burning
now
house.
a lot of people do make fun of this dummy work.
I mean, I love dummies. Any movie that has a dummy.
Well, because when he falls off the roof, it's
The kid is a dummy.
The kid is a dummy. Obviously,
Because
they're not going to fucking drop a child off a fucking roof. Okay,
How dare you? How dare you not drop a 4-year-old off the fucking building?
why would you not do that?
Because it's like a uncut take of like them tumbling down the whole house.
Yeah.
And it's you know, little dummy 4-year-old, which I love.
So Matt is like in pain on the ground, and they shoot the other kid.
They just shoot him.
They don't even ask. They just shoot him, and then they're like, "Hey, like we're taking your sister because we need collateral, and we need to know that you're going to show up.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, meet at this place in the bayou."
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he pulls the arrow out, and he's pissed.
And then it's the next day, and all the CIA goons are there, and they cannot. There's bodies everywhere, like
Well,
burned, fucking charcoaled bodies.
They can't find Matt
or his sister. And the main
he's got to be somewhere. I don't know where he is. I don't know if they killed him or if. So they assume that he's been kidnapped.
well, the admiral's like, I think, you know, shit's going down. You're gonna hear some.
Well,
stuff
and
soon.
this is where you kind of get an idea of like the admiral's being kind of shady and
Yeah.
aggressive about things. You're not exactly sure why, but he is kind of being weird about certain things. And so we get Matt. It's like 2 weeks later. It doesn't
He's
even.
in the bayou.
It just time jumps to this, and he's in the bayou, and he's like swimming.
There's like a Cajun fucking party.
It's like a huge party, and of course it's all fucking white people because they're white supremacists. So
and it's all like, yeah, and they're all like speaking French, and you know, he's walking through looking for his sister.
it really immerses you, because this scene goes on for a while, and it shows you like stuff that like Matt's not even seeing. It just goes through. It's a very lived in like
Yeah, they're
set.
like, there's a big like pot of like crawfish. They're cooking like a roast pork. There's like a band playing. There's people dancing. Like, it's very.
Well, I like it.
Yeah, it's very lived in.
They don't break the immersion either, because like even the extras, like in some scenes as Matt's walking around, they're even like questioning who he is.
Yeah, they're just like saying stuff in French and
well, like no dialogue. They're just like shrugging their shoulders and like gesturing towards him, like,
and
who the fuck
occasionally
is this?
there's people with like guns, but
They're like pointing him in a certain direction, right?
and he goes to like this house, and you see like a guy in a window, and they kind of look at each other, and they, everyone like they shoo him away from there.
Yeah.
And then the guy, like, you see, is like this room, and it has all the bad guys in there, and he's like, "Hey,
he showed up.
He's here."
And they're like, "Okay, we'll give him." So they kind of talk a little bit more, and then Matt finds his sister, and they're making her into a prostitute.
Yeah, because he finds a whorehouse, and he's like, "I'm looking for a 12-year-old," and the madam's like, "Oh, we have a new one. Yep. She's in high demand, and she's a virgin, and all this stuff.
We're gonna sell her tomorrow
for $500."
Yep.
And he goes in this room and he sees her. He gets her out of there, and then
he like kicks the madam into the fucking river,
and then he's on his way.
And they're like, "Okay, we'll give him like a 30-minute head start."
And they all shoo him away to basically make sure that like he doesn't get a boat or anything. He has to fucking swim across the bayou.
Yep, with his sister.
While it starts raining.
And so now we get into the the half of the movie that I like, the Avenging Force comes in, right?
Well, the hunting party.
Yeah. So now we're getting into the real meat of the movie. We have our setup. Now we get our payoff.
Because he puts her.
There's like this little alcove with like a well.
Yeah.
And so he goes into the well, puts her in there because it's dry, and he's gonna go try and like look for a way out, basically, or like dispatch them so that they can safely get out of the woods.
And first he fights with the guy with the all white like mask and sword.
I do want to say they really play up the fact that Matt is like, he was in retirement and not fighting at all, because he gets his ass handed to him.
It is very much like down and dirty, just bloody.
Well, you can tell they're tussling in this like muddy ass water, and it's dirty and fucking gross and grimy and wet, and just like,
because the whole time it's pouring.
Yeah.
The whole time it's pouring rain, and it's like, and it's in real swamp.
Well, I was reading the trivia. Apparently, Michael Dudikoff said that basically he like got a virus, he got cut, he had to go through multiple spider webs. It was like a miserable shooting process.
You can tell.
But it looks fucking cool. So
yeah, it's very
kudos to them, because it's very it looks very real, because it is real.
Because it is real. It's very down and dirty. He kills the guy with the mask. Then he he impales him on like a jagged branch. Yeah, there's like a branch sticking out of the water.
And then he goes back to the well, and the sister's not there. So he's like looking around for her, and as he's looking around and calling her name, our BDSM guy
jumps him.
Our bald, mustachioed man,
who I swear has been in a bunch of other movies.
I swear he looks like just a bad guy.
Typical 80s movie villain.
Typecast bad guy that's okay with it.
But they fight.
So they fight. He takes out his big knife. They're like tussling around, and then finally Matt gets his crossbow and shoots him in the heart. And then he finds the sister, and they're trying to get out of the woods, and they're being stalked by the tactical guy with the shotgun. And so he shoots the sister in the shoulder, and then Matt like goes up to him, and they start fighting. Matt gets his ass absolutely fucking annihilated by this guy, but kind of gets
not as much as he got beat up by the fucking dude
with the swords,
because he does like the fucking wrestling show where he like picks him up and like slams him down on his knee.
He like how Bane broke Batman's back. He did that like same. He did like that same move, just like slammed Matt down on his fucking knee.
There's also that one part where he like picks him up and throws him, and I mean you see it on camera.
Yeah.
But he throws him onto like a dead tree.
Yeah.
And he just like falls on the dead tree, and it's all on camera. Like they're not faking that.
And so he finally gets like the guy's knife and like stabs him in the heart. So let me just get this nitpick out of the way real quick. It's a quick nitpick. I do like this movie a lot. I'm not saying that it's a bad movie or that this makes it a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish that these fuckers got like a better kind of like more brutal kill.
Yeah.
I get like maybe they didn't want to push the boundary on that, like on the gore and like the fucking like severity of that, but like the amount of fucking like bullshit that this guy had to go through and how evil these guys are,
How much bullshit they spew
and
at you.
how fucking cruel and evil and like vile these people are. I do wish we would have seen a little bit more brutality, and that might just be me. There could be a lot of people watching this that are just fine with how they died, right? I'm not. I want a little bit more brutality.
I'm a degenerate, so
yeah. That is my sole nitpick. It's not. They could have pushed it a little farther on the brutality.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just had to get that out of the way. That's just my one nitpick, my one bitch of the movie. So Matt's like finally getting out of the woods. They see the bridge, and they're about to swim over to like safety, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And our guy comes out like fucking Solid Snake with this fucking masquerade mask, and like wraps the piano wire around Matt's neck.
But Matt has a knife.
Yeah, so he stabs him in the knee, and then they go their separate ways. And so Matt takes his sister to the CIA headquarters, and like kicks the door in, and is like, "This is my sister, and if she dies
in your custody,
I'm gonna hold you all solely responsible." He's like fucking pissed, and so he's like, "You've broken every."
No, he tells him like, I've killed 3 of the heads of the Pentangle,
and I'm gonna go kill the next guy. And
I'm like, wait a minute.
The admiral's like, "You've broken every protocol, and like
the classic.
I'll report you to my superiors.
I'll have your badge."
Yeah, basically. And he's like, "You can tell your superiors they can stick it where the sun don't shine."
The classic action movie thing.
And so he like just leaves the room. This is the transition. I swear to fucking, it's so great.
It's so perfect.
So Matt walks out of the room. It shows their mansion.
This fucking plantation house, right?
And immediately our evil dude is petting a black cat and just saying, "You know, the leftists like to scream liberal fascism, but Hitler was right." I'm just like, oh my fucking God.
It's such
like, and then he drones on, but basically he's just saying how
Armageddon's coming.
Like how much better the world would have been if Hitler had lived.
And, you know, Armageddon is coming. We're in the end times, and his butler shows up like, "There's a guy for you. He doesn't look well. And he has this for you."
He's like, "Okay."
And he pulls out
I love it. So when he killed one of the guys, he had a picture of all of them together. All the hunting party together. And Matt has put X's through the ones he killed and circled the guy's head.
And he's like, "All right."
He's like, "Gentlemen, I'll be right back. I just have to go and like refresh
handle
myself,
some business."
Basically. And so he just walks in, and Matt's just standing,
still bloody,
in the hallway, just like looking at him like he's like, if looks could kill.
He's like, "We got some unfinished business."
And he's like, "Okay, follow me into the
war room
or whatever." And it's just your typical room full of weapons.
You know, your typical. I remember.
There's a James Bond movie where a guy is like obsessed with war, and they fight.
God.
And they fight in that room, and it kind of reminds me of that.
Oh my god! I swear to God, it was like the same year as this.
Because
it was Living Daylights.
Yes, Living Daylights.
He has like a fucking.
He's obsessed with war.
He has like the wax figurines of like all the famous generals and shit.
Yeah, and they fight in that room. So that's kind of what this scene reminded me of.
But there's all this like maces and swords.
Basically,
and shit.
he tells Matt to choose his weapon, and Matt chooses a bow staff.
Well, he tells him like, "Who's the fifth head?"
He's like, there are still things you do not know. And basically, like, I'm not going to tell you who the fifth head is.
It goes high. It goes higher up.
So
and
Matt-
we are, the pentangle is growing, and
So Matt's like, you know what? Fuck it.
Fuck
He
it. Fuck you.
he grabs a bow staff, and he's like, I'm just going to fight it out of you. And then he doesn't say that, but like without words,
Yeah.
he basically says, I'm just going to beat the shit out of you, and you're going to tell me who the fifth pentangle is.
they fight. They go through all the weapons. They tumble down the stairs.
Well, yeah, they get multiple swords and stabs. One of them tries to javelin the other one, and like
He has a shield. They go down the stairs, and then
Now,
he
I don't know
pulls
if-
out a fucking like.
well, so it's like the choking wire, but it's like the two rings.
Yeah.
and it has a rod that you can
Yeah.
tighten it.
At first, I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, I didn't know what it was at first either, but then it makes more sense.
Then he pulls out his piano wire.
When he starts like choking Matt, and Matt sees a statue, and I don't know if they meant to do this.
They probably did.
I'm pretty sure they did, because it's like an African statue.
They did everything else. So
It has a pointed. It's holding a little like a. It's holding a spear, and he's like, okay, I can impale this guy on him. So he tries to like tussle this guy off, and then finally he throws the guy onto the fucking. This actor, probably the like most blood curdling like.
he gives like a fucking it was like a Metal Gear Solid villain fucking screech that you get when you win a fight,
It's like.
and you can feel their life force like exiting their lungs.
It's just crazy. You can just imagine the development. They're like, okay, so what we're going to do, you're going to get impaled on this. Now, what we need you to do is just let out a little scream, and then
show us what you got.
show us what you got. Just, do what you can. It's your death scene, so it's like,
Go wild, man.
you can scream if you want. You don't have to. Just collapse on the ground. And then they get this performance, and they're just probably like,
Hell yeah.
what the fuck? That was insane.
Leave that in.
Did
That's
you
in the movie,
actually
baby.
fucking die? My guy, are you okay?
Like, that's it. That's the take.
It was just, like, there's very little movies where you hear that kind of like blood curdling like death scream as
Yeah,
they
you're
die.
just like unexpected.
You're just like, what the fuck was
all
that?
right.
Holy shit. So it just ends with Matt.
He goes to his like superior.
Well, so they're in the hospital, and he's checking on his sister.
She's okay.
She's gonna recover. She's past like the trauma point. She just needs to rest.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking to all the CIA guys, and he's insinuating that there's an inside pentangle.
Yeah, he's like,
member.
how do they know? There's a fifth head.
I didn't tell anyone I was going to
Yeah.
that ranch. How did they know I was going to that ranch? How did everyone die? And like all this stuff. And so the admiral pulls him aside, and he's like, are you insinuating something? He's like, I'm not insinuating anything. All I'm saying is this guy, so the main pentangle guys, said that basically it's never going to end because it's just getting started. And he's like, to the admiral, Matt just says,
If they're just getting started, then so am I.
yeah. And so that's the end of the movie. Freeze
credits.
frames and credits. Yeah, this movie is really well done. It's just,
I
I
think
know, it's really good.
It's even just outside of our podcast and our taste, so to speak. Even outside of all that, this is a good movie.
Yeah, I would say like any action fan from like, especially if you like the like action movies of like 80s, 90s, stuff like that. It's really good. I'd recommend this to really anyone. What's cool about this movie too is it's like with some of the other movies that I've like liked for entertainment value, this one you can like sit down and watch, and like I would actually like continue to watch this one. Unlike some of the other ones where I've given it like a 9 or a 10, and like it's like I would not probably watch it all the way through if I was just watching it as like a normal viewer, right? So I would be like, I'd probably turn it off after a while if it wasn't on our podcast. This one I would continue to watch, like I would be interested enough to see where it went.
It's got all the actual movie qualities that I would expect.
Yeah, exactly. So it just kind of like but again, I do wish it would like kind of have gone more into the brutality of it, but
Well,
that's just how it goes sometimes.
that's why.
So
Well, the shitty to pretty.
yep, and then we'll get into Shitty to Pretty right now. If you're new to the
'Cause-
podcast, it's where we rate. It's on entertainment value, 1 through 10.
And like always, we'll probably agree on this because I'm giving it a 9.
Alex will definitely agree on this because I only think we've disagreed once on Shitty to Pretty, and that was a while ago, and I can't remember what episode it was. So 9 it is. Yep.
Because for the same reason as you, I would have loved to see a little more brutality, but like I said, even just like podcast, ignoring the podcast, like 9 out of 10. I mean, I like you said, you can recommend this movie even for people who aren't
Yeah.
like us.
Well, it's like kind of like you can recommend it to people who like The Most Dangerous Game or
Yeah.
stuff like Hard Target, and I love Hard Target.
Hard Target will be on the podcast in the future.
I mean, set in New Orleans, and it's
One of our top 5. I mean,
well, and like I don't know, I just love movies where, and I think you've said this before too, where it's like they just fuck with the wrong person.
yes.
They like these bad dudes are playing bad games and getting bad prizes because they are fucking with someone they underestimate, and I love that kind of story.
Yep. And
It's like
just,
the perfect avenging, like just badass.
especially like when it's someone who's not doing anything, right?
Right.
They're not doing anything. They're just living. But someone just has to push them.
Well, it's like that Blade scene when like he's fucking like throwing all the grenades down, and he's like saying, "You're like you obviously don't know who you're fucking with," and then blows them all to smithereens.
Yep.
It's fucking incredible. I just love those kind of like stories.
It's classic.
It's great. It's like classic action story, and it just works. And yeah, Avenging Force is just a great movie. Go watch it on YouTube. You won't be disappointed. We watched it through a channel called Vintage Action.
It's in HD.
It's in HD. There was another video on here that had the same thing, but it wasn't HD. So I don't know if it was like an HD version or if it wasn't. It doesn't really matter.
We just defaulted to the
Yeah.
HD one. So
It looks good. Looks nice and crisp. And yeah, it's just a fun watch. Go watch it if you love like 80s and 90s action
it's a great
movies.
palate cleanser.
Yes, especially from the last movie we watched.
Yes.
And I think after this, you said we go back into more horror.
We got more horror after this.
Okay.
So,
So stay tuned for that.
I mean,
a good
I'm not
mix.
going to say it's good.
We can never say that.
We'll see.
We don't know what we're walking into half the time. So,
We'll see.
but anyway, that's pretty much it for Avenging Force. Go enjoy it. Go watch it. Have a good time. Have fun.
Tell us what you think, yeah.
Tell us what you think on all your socials. We're mostly on Instagram's the big one.
As
And
far
then-
as social media goes, yes.
And then like obviously we read comments on YouTube.
And any other like podcasts.
But I mean we're on everything. So if you want to drop a line on like even Twitter or our email for whatever reason, our email link is in our Instagram.
Yes.
So if you do, I don't know why you would, but if you want to drop us an email, you can. It's there. But yeah, I'm always on there. Just come drop me a line if you want to chat, hang out, ask a
Recommend
question.
things, whatever.
I'm also a tiny bit of housekeeping. I'm going to keep up with the Q&A Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a question you want to ask us, I will be posting the story on our Facebook and Instagram every Saturday. So if you have a question for me or Alex, I can text him ask him.
I look at the stories. So if there's a question that is specifically, if you want to target me,
Yes.
I'll find a way to answer you.
But I do want to keep that going.
But Will is the self-designated
yes.
social media marketing manager.
I have dubbed myself social media management.
He's got a nice job title and
Yep.
everything. Put on his resume.
Yep, I will. For a podcast with less than 1,000 followers, it's fine. We love our followers, okay?
It's true.
We love all of you that listen. You keep this afloat. We love doing it, so we're gonna keep doing it.
If even one of you gets some for an hour of your day.
We've done our job.
You get joy. I'm happy.
Yep. So I think that's it for They Mostly Come In at Night. This has been Will.
This has been Alex.
And we will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.